Welcome back. I recently had reviewed Gremlins, and I have yet to watch part 2, but I said that I would review another... Bad lighting in here. Goodness. It doesn't matter. I said that I would review another Christopher Columbus written film, Young Sherlock Holmes, and we are reviewing this X-Video rental copy. This one came from a thrift shop, I don't know which one, but it was originally inventory at Video Palace on Mitchell Road in lovely Ceres, California, just south of where I live. Highly doubt it's there anymore. So this is another Amblin Entertainment movie with the usual suspects of Kennedy, Marshall, and Spielberg. Spielberg produced this one, but it was directed by Barry Levinson, who did a ton of blockbuster films in the 80s, some of my favorites, such as Rain Man and The Natural, one of his earlier films, Diner, which is based off of his native Baltimore, but he ended up directing this film for Spielberg and Chris Columbus. When they were working together, I read on IMDb that Chris Columbus and Spielberg did 3 or 4 movies in a row together in the 80s. They had a good working relationship. This movie it's decent. It's about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours long, and I'm going to get right into the review. My review is kind of off, which oftentimes it is, and sometimes it aligns with the consensus. I am 4 out of 5 on this movie, folks, right off the bat. I watched it over the course of 2 days, off and on, and I enjoyed it. I really did. It felt very much like a Spielberg movie at times, the way that he produced the movies of the era, and it was kind of right around the time of all the Indiana Jones movies. It came out in 1985, so kind of sandwiched in between a couple of his films. And it's paying homage to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I don't know. IMDb was 6.8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 64%. And Google users were 68%. So they were kind of more in the middle, 3 out of 5 range, 2.5, 3 out of 5. And it did have these really cool CGI dream sequences, per my digging on IMDb, one of the earliest credits to Pixar. And John Lasseter, there's a sequence in this movie that took 4 months to make, one of the earliest Pixar animated features in a movie, and they said that Spielberg would later use the special effects in this movie to look back and help make Jurassic Park. So this kind of is an important film. It had an $18 million budget, and it grossed $63 million. I don't really see this movie as being a huge famous movie of the 80s. And I really enjoyed it. And I felt like they could have done more movies with the Alan Cox character as Watson. And God, my notes are so all over the place. And Nicholas Rowe playing the young Sherlock Holmes in the 1870s. Kind of their own made-up take on maybe their earliest meetup. But I felt like this could have been a whole series of films, but it wasn't. It kind of is based off of this Egyptology cult in the 1800s in London, and there's some murders with hallucinogenic drugs where they have these really cool dream sequences when people get hit with the blow dart, and then the young Sherlock Holmes teams up with this girl Elizabeth, and it kind of helps pave the way for him as a character in his books later on, is what I read online. Don't know why it's not more lauded. I enjoyed it. I don't know why. I've just now recently watched it. I've had this movie for probably over a year, and I'm just now getting to dig into my VHS archives and watch all these movies that have been on the back burner. So that's my review. 4 out of 5. I feel like it could have been a whole trilogy of 80s classics, but maybe it was kind of overshadowed because there was just so many powerhouse movies around that time. I mean, 1985, Back to the Future. And then, you're in between, like, I think the year before was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and it kind of plays off that similar vibe with the same production people. I just think there were so many big blockbuster movies going on at the time that this particular film maybe slipped through the cracks at becoming a classic. Comment down below if you've seen this movie and you enjoy it, and if you think it's a underrated 80s classic like I do. Until next time, we will see you then.